Hey friends, it's Jen. Thanks for tuning in and welcome back to Homes That Heal. Okay, I have a couple quick reminders before we jump into today's show. First, if you haven't already done so, please check out the Jen Recommends page on my site. It's loaded with my favorite books, wellness tools, and quite frankly, it's honestly all the things I have in my home. Cleaning products, the towels I use in my sauna, the sheets on my bed, the hyperbaric chamber that literally helped heal me out of paralysis. It's all there. A lot of you have been reaching out with questions, and so I just want to remind you that that is a resource guide for you to take advantage of. Plus, if you're wondering who my go-to resources are for leveling up my life, check out the Gen Connections page. It's a direct link to a few of my favorite gurus. Second, I created a home wellness checklist so you can transform your home into your own personal wellness sanctuary. The checklist includes a list of actionable steps to clear out the clutter, create a dedicated space for movement, ways you can clean up your air and water quality, plus suggestions for healing tools. It's all there in one easy list. And you know I'm deeply passionate about living an aligned life, which is why it's so important to harmonize your homes so you too can revel in the abundance every day. It's where you rest and restore, dream, and create memories. It should be your sanctuary space. So if you're ready to get rid of the low vibe energy, feel inspired to elevate your life, please go to jenhellerlifestyle.com and download your personal guide to create your home that heals. Okay, so let's dig in. I have a super special guest today. My dear friend and fellow Hodag, Melissa Bayne Allison is here, and she's going to share her journey through abuse and trauma, her challenges with weight and loving herself back to wholeness, plus why she married her first husband twice. Mel and I go way back. We've known each other nearly 30 years, so we've pretty much had a front row seat for each other's transformations. We've stayed connected all these years and are still cheerleading each other on. I deeply admire and respect Mel. She's been a tremendous advocate and positive voice for abused women for many years in our hometown, something that takes a ton of strength, energy, and courage. If you know her, you know she has an amazing light and a huge heart. She's a Vibes First behavioral change coach, personal trainer, and domestic violence and sexual assault consultant. She has supported others in improving their health and lives for many years, and 3 years ago, she took her passion to the next level by creating her own coaching consulting business, Thrive and Empower. Today, you're going to hear about how to love yourself, listen to your inner intuition, plus why your food and environment have a positive impact on your life. I highly recommend you check her out on Instagram and Facebook. Her videos are not only inspiring, but often hilarious. She's wildly passionate about connecting and supporting others to live a vibrant life, and I can't wait for you to meet her. I'm truly grateful for her and our long-term friendship. So without further ado, please welcome my fellow Hodag, Melissa Bayne Allison. Are you struggling with low energy, weight gain, hormonal imbalances, or heavy metal and mold toxicity? Do you want to learn more about anti-aging tips and creating more longevity in your life? Well, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Jen Heller, a wellness educator, infrared sauna expert, and home health consultant. In this podcast, Homes That Heal, I will teach you how to transform your home into a health and wellness sanctuary. Your health is your wealth, and I believe that your home should be your sanctuary space, loaded with the tools you need to thrive in your life, not just survive. If you want to feel fantastic and transform your life and home, grab a pen, let's dive in and create a home that heals. Okay, Melissa, welcome to the show.
I'm excited to be here.
I know, I'm excited for you to be here. So grateful. Welcome, welcome. So before we get into the deets for today, I first want to say, because this was on my heart, actually, this morning I was coming back from a walk with my girlfriend, Lori. We meet in the early mornings to go for walks. And we just had this most beautiful conversation about like our bright light and why we're here and like our friendships. And she was sharing a story about how we just transcend and sometimes friendships and family, things that come and go. And I was just giving on my drive home from our walk, I was thinking about you. I had messaged you and I was like, I'm so excited for our talk today. And I was just giving so much gratitude for you and our 25 plus year friendship. Let's date ourselves here.
Yep.
we've been friends since high school or known each other since high school.
Yep.
Shout out to the Hodags, Rhinelander. Yep. Rhinelander represent. And just the amount of like how our lives have ebbed and flowed and how we've stayed connected. You are one of those people, I have to tell you, you are one of those people that it doesn't matter if I've messaged you, we run into each other, you've liked one of my comments, or I'm watching one of your glorious reels or videos online. You are so bright and energetic. And I just love your energy. And you are one of those people that it doesn't matter. Like your vibe is always high. Like I could be in like, yeah, I could be in like the crappiest of crap moods or just be like, what was me? And I see you and you're like, what is up? So I just love you and your vibe and your energy. And so when I watched one of your videos, I don't know which one it was, but it was something a few weeks back. I was like, I need to have her on the show. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to talk about, but we're just bringing the vibe. So again,
Leave it up
welcome.
to chance.
Yeah. So welcome. And I just love that your light is so bright. So let's chat a little bit about, like I said, we've known each other for a very long time. We've always kind of been on like a health journey of sorts, and we often talk about our health journeys and like where we're at. I'd love for you just to share your story and just kind of where you're at right now and just kind of walk me through what's led you where you're at right now.
Sure. I'll kind of talk about like how high school was for me a little bit, kind of set the scene for like the vibes there. When I was in high school, I experienced a lot of bullying. I didn't want to go to school. There was a lot of times that throughout high school, it just wasn't the vibe. Like I struggled a lot in school with doing the work that needed to be done in high school. And I know I look back on it and I'm like, that was so trivial. But you think that when you're in high school, it's, because your parents are like, it's so important for you to get good grades. It's so important for this. And yet there's this underlying crap that's going on. Anytime someone was nice to me, I was nice back. So I just want to say thank you for also being awesome in that way and being very supportive of me through those years of high school. Those years of my life, that was really important to me. That's probably why we vibe so well, because it's like, You know what, you do remember the people who were really nasty to you, and you remember the people that were really kind to you, and you can do with those individuals what you will, So I just hold tight to the people that were good to my heart.
Yeah, cheerleaders for life.
For sure. Right on. So obviously hometown girl, born and raised here, Rhinelander, Wisconsin. I love this town. I am a sexual abuse survivor as well. I experienced sexual abuse from the ages of 12 to 16. That was something that I actually suppressed for a really long time. And when it came to getting into this work, it kind of trickled over from a previous employer. So a little bit of background for employment. I was an advocate for survivors of sexual and domestic violence for over 10 years. In doing that work, a lot of my old stuff started to come up. So I actually latched on to health and wellness to help me heal through that trauma. When that trauma came back up from working with survivors, I went through hours of therapy at work, hours of therapy outside of work, and just kept getting pulled back to like fitness because it was the one thing that I truly had control over. My health was the one thing I had control over. But setting the scene up to that point, I had been using substances. I was a pretty heavy substance abuser. I had toxic friends. I had a marriage that I sabotaged. Also married the same person 2 times. Gave it the good old college try there.
Remember that. I was like, interesting. I'm going to have to ask her about that. And then I think we went out one night. Now it's like, please explain. And you did.
Yeah. So our lives just went in different directions. I was with him from the age of 17 until 33. So that was a good period of my life. We did a lot of growing up together. And as you know, when you grow up with someone, you can also grow apart from them. And ultimately, that's really what happened there. I have an amazing child from that relationship. It's a part of me. It's behind me. And I know that I had a part in that disillusion as well as he did. But I wasn't healed. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden you think that you're good to go. And then you move to this different place and you're like, oh, I'm not where I need to be in order to be a good wife, in order to be a good partner. Long story short, fitness and this health journey that I've been on has been the one thing that has really helped me heal from the traumas and helped me overcome substance abuse.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing all of that. I honestly, there were a
Mhm.
few bits of pieces of that that I wasn't aware of. So thank you for being so open and vulnerable and honest to share that. And I can completely resonate with when you grow up with someone. I mean, that's literally what happened with my first marriage. I've said for years, he wasn't a bad guy. He just wasn't the right guy. He wasn't the long-term person, right? And so, but you learn a lot. You learn a lot along the way,
Mhm.
and you kind of come back to your wholeness and your center and your core, and you ask the questions. What's interesting is that it takes a lot of courage to not only ask the questions, but then listen to the answers. That's that's one of those things where it's like, okay, show me where to go, but am I really willing to shift and move up and out? And we joke and
Yeah.
laugh about it trying twice, but really I give
Mhm.
you a lot of credit for really trying to make that
Mhm.
work and seeing that it didn't work the first time and going back and saying, this is what I've learned. Let's try this again, for both of you to say, like, let's do a do-over and see if we can get it right.
Mhm.
And now I'm understanding you co-parent and got a beautiful
Yep.
son, obviously. And
Yep.
so,
Yep.
all is a blessing. I love that. And the fitness thing, that for me too, I can relate to that. You go inward. And that's the one thing that you can do is moving. I like fitness because you're moving energy. You're moving. It also, for me, it created, like, I know you know my story, but I shared on my previous show that I just started walking. I started walking and jogging to get my body moving because I felt like I was crawling out of my own freaking skin. And if I didn't move, I felt like something needed to move up and out. And it was through that walking and running that I started to release the energy. And I was also sitting with my thoughts in a quiet way. And it's like, oh, I feel this lifting. Oh, I feel this lifting. This is moving. And it wasn't even really about the weight, so to speak. It was more like getting the toxic or the bad energy out and giving it
Mhm.
back to the universe. And so I feel like that's another thing that we have in common too, of just moving the body, getting yourself active. So, and part of that too, and just living a more joyful, harmonious life. Obviously, you left that marriage and you found your passion in fitness. Tell me a little bit about that journey.
Okay, so I dabbled in fitness for a long time. We grew up in the Dexatrim days, right? We grew
Oh,
up
yeah.
in the days where it's like no pain, no gain. I don't like that. A diet culture is not harmonious, if I'm
Not
being
at all.
honest.
Not at all.
So I really wanted to get away from that vibe. So I had been dabbling in fitness for a long time, but never really grasped onto it. And then through my ex-husband, I had met some people in the medical field and they took really good care of themselves. And as I could see this one person that is now my like best friend till I die, she saw something in me because I saw something in her. I was like, that's the life I want to live. Not because she's in the medical field, not because her husband's a doctor, not because she's a nurse, but because I saw what the benefits of taking care of yourself were.
Hmm.
And I was like, I am not doing any of that because I would work out, like a day here, a day there. And that just, it didn't make me feel good because I would feel good when I would do it, but then I would feel crappy for not. So, like, when it comes to really living that harmonious life, I really think that's like how you vibe in your personal space and in your public spaces. So, what are you putting out? Because honestly, if you're just going down the rabbit hole of negativity, that's what you're going to find. It's not like you're necessarily manifesting it, but you're looking for it. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Like you're not making bad things happen to you, but you are looking for the bad things. So I think that if you can live like harmoniously, I think that that is where you have actual joy in the things that you're doing, no matter what it is, even if it is doing laundry. You don't have to do your laundry. You get to do your laundry. So
Absolutely.
like I look at the things that I get to do every day as a reward. Do I look at it like that all the time? No. Do I have to go real deep sometimes? Yeah. So I just think that we all have a choice and that you have a choice to live harmoniously.
Yeah, I love that. I couldn't agree more. I often talk about like life happens for us, not to us. Get to do
Mm-hmm.
things. We don't have to do things. And I have a great time sometimes doing laundry, like crank up the music and have a good time with it. Like you need clean clothes, like it needs to happen. So why be
For
pissed
sure.
off about it? There's no reason. And that law of attraction, I don't want to get too deep on that because, there people feel different ways about it. But for me, I think one of the most biggest, it's not a challenge, but one of the, control, manage your mind, manage your mood, manage your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can
That's,
catch yourself and it's just an awareness, it's not necessarily like you're getting down on yourself or pity, but you had mentioned sometimes you got to go a little deeper. But if you can catch yourself and really keep your head in an elevated space and an abundant mindset and step back and look at things more joyfully and more like, oh, I want that's interesting. Like I wonder why that just happened. Or, oh, I triggered her. I wonder if maybe she's like maybe my light's triggering you. Oh, sorry, not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. But it's always just an interesting awareness to me instead of somebody being offended or like going into the negative Nancy's of it. Social
mm-hmm.
media is an interesting animal because I have learned I mean, if it weren't for social media and online platforms, we wouldn't be doing this, right? Like, so I'm so grateful for this technology. And before we hit the record button, you and I were laughing about like the internet came out, basically. Internet was live like 1999 when we
Mm-hmm.
got out of high school. So we were fortunate to grow up without phones in our hands, but pretty much our entire adult life, we've been having these advancements of technology, but also we're constantly inundated with things. We're bombarded with things
Yeah.
that make us think and experiences that make us feel. And so curating your life in and around what you're surrounded with, the people, the job, the music, the TV, or lack thereof, in my opinion. What's on your social media? If it's just a bunch of drippy people complaining about the woe is me, well, just simply unfollow, right? It doesn't mean you need to unfriend. You can just
Right.
unfollow, or if you want to disconnect and untether, okay, so be it. Bless and release. But my feed is full of a bunch of people working out, working on their life, interior design, a ridiculous amount of cat stuff, um, quotes and sayings that make me feel good and heart centered. Homes That Heal is all about spaces that make you feel good. So I've intentionally curated my Facebook and Instagram feeds to show me things that are of that nature, right? Like show me nature pictures, show me some cool interior design. Like I don't want to see all that other stuff. So we have a choice to curate our lives to show up in an abundant way. So if you don't see all the negatives and you don't live in that space, it doesn't find you, right?
Yeah. I actually wrote down right here, if you choose high vibes and joy, it's harder for shit to bring you down.
Yeah, 100%. And high vibes. I mean, who doesn't love high vibes? I mean, you can't even say it without a smile on your face.
I know.
So, and again, I mean, that's just one of the reasons why you and I have connected and friends is that we magnetize that. Like, you could live on the other side of the earth and in a completely different time zone, and we would still find ways to connect because you magnetize the frequency of the people. I always say, tune your radio to whatever you want to listen to. Well, it's the same in our lives. You tune the radio to the person and the people that you want to hang with. So, you stepped into the fitness. And so tell me a little bit. Obviously, I know that you've got a coaching program and you're working with people now. Walk me through that a little bit. Like how did you decide? Do you remember where you were? Like what day was it when you were like, here's what I'm going to do?
I feel like it was a Thursday. I had a full blown come apart at my house. So my husband had started his coaching program. So he was getting certified while we were still working at our other employer. That is where I met my current husband at my previous employer. And he had started in a coaching program and I was kind of digging on the things that I was hearing and I was listening. I did get sucked into a multi-level marketing business first and decided that
We've all been there. Don't worry.
Right. So I was in that, realized that I was a glorified cheerleader, and that's not what I wanted to be. When I realized that a coach is more than that, I was like, I want to get certified in that. So I shopped around for the program that would be right for me. I did not go through the same program as my husband did. It was important for me to go to a nationally or internationally, excuse me, accredited program. So that way, when I wanted to take the big exam to get my accreditations, that was something that was important to me when it came to shopping. So I was in the Culver's parking lot on a Thursday, crying in my car. And I remember making my first payment from the car to the coaching program. I talked to what would be like an advisor, right? And I gave her my card information and I started the next day. Friday I was in my program. I'm a person that like if I'm going to do something, I decide I'm going to do it. And if I don't do it right then and there, it probably won't get done. So
Yeah.
I'm a reactive person, to be honest with you. We're still working on that. We're trying to heal that part of ourselves. But I don't know. I think my reactions so far have worked out pretty well for me. Have I had some negative ones? Sure. But overall, like me being reactive and jumping into something when I want something really bad has really changed my life.
Yeah, I'm definitely a reactor. I'm an all in. I mean, anybody who's listening to this who knows me well, my family, my mom, bless her, she was always so passive and was like, "Oh gosh, what's Jen up to now?" Like half the time, what's she doing now? She's on an airplane going somewhere. No, Lord knows what she's up to, but I'm an all in. Like if I know and
Yeah.
my gut tells me get going, it's like let's fucking go. Like I'm not screwing around. It's never served me well to sit on the fence, and I've never been a sit on the fencer. Now, I will say there are some things I'm pretty strategic about, like building the business and doing
Mhm.
some things along the way. Like
Yeah.
you can't hop all over, obviously, right? But so
Right.
there's some strategy method behind the madness. But when your gut says let's go, it's like let's move in that direction. Doesn't mean that you have to completely, throw a grenade in your entire life. It just means we're moving this direction. You shift and you pivot. And so I can completely
Mhm.
resonate with that. So day one, you hit the ground running. Do you remember any fears or like where was your head at that point in time? Like obviously probably a little nervous, but paint me a picture. What do you think were your biggest fears, but also excitements?
I think I had conquered my biggest fear when I had walked out of my job at noon on a Wednesday.
Oh,
I
valid
I
point.
think I think that at that point I didn't have any fears. And I remember hearing or reading something that said, you're not taking a risk, you're taking a chance.
Mm.
A risk is like negative. A chance is like, you know what, I believe enough in myself to say that I can do this. And I called my husband crying from my car on my way home from the day I quit my job because number one, that's not me. That's not in my that's not the kind of integrity I have. But I also feel like, you know what? They could have fired me. They could have let me go on a whim. So why can't I say this enough is enough?
Right.
So I feel like I had already conquered that fear by jumping into that. And then the next fears came when I had to take all my quizzes and my tests.
I
So
get that's
ultimately,
the different level of fear. It's like, oh, now I gotta
right,
prepare.
right. So ultimately, jumping in day one, I had no fears. I actually felt so good.
Mm.
I felt like I was like, I remember I hadn't even started my business yet. And I was literally like, I will never work for anyone else ever again.
Hallelujah. Music to my ears.
Ever.
I've said that.
Mhm.
Yeah. When I left my corporate job, and again, 14 years I had at Coca-Cola, loved it. I mean, for the most part, I'm so grateful for it. I learned so much. But just like any time in relationship, if you will, you learn what you like and you learn what you don't like, right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
took away from that what I needed to start my own business. And when I packed my car and drove out of town and, left to go start a business, I said the same thing. You will never work for anyone else. You will be your
Nope.
own. And that's a decision that it's not for everybody, quite frankly. I mean, I know a lot of people who enjoy working for people or with people and in
Mhm.
collaboration like that. But for me, I knew that I'm a free spirited person and I need to be in the driver's seat of my destiny in my life. And when it comes to passion and career, I'm a creative energy. I'm all over, and I like to just do things that feel good and are fun. And if you're confined in a space or in a toxic environment, or you're in and around meh people or whatever, like that dims your light. That doesn't feel good. And so for me, I was like, I'm just going to go create the vibe somewhere else, and I'm going to attract
Yep.
people, and people will work for me, or maybe they won't. I don't know. But
Mhm.
I just knew it. Same thing. Yeah, you can either work for someone or you can work for yourself. So I love it.
So I actually have two businesses. I was going to say the day
Yeah.
after I quit my job, I actually did go start a cleaning business as well, which is still rocking and rolling. And we just hired two people. So
Love it. I know. I know.
yeah.
And someday when I actually get my hands on a house in Rhinelander, do you know how many times we put offers in on so many? It's actually backburnered right now because we were really devastated last year on a house that we were really hopeful to get, and it fell through. And I was like, my heart can't take this. Like, this real estate market's too tough. Like, I need to table this. Like, it's divine timing. It wasn't meant to be. And at the time I was so pissed and upset, but it's like, you realize things happen for a reason. But I'll get me a house up there. I'll be in touch. So, okay. So cleaning business, tell me about where you're at now with the coaching. Like, tell me what your main mission is, like who you work with. Like, tell me, like, walk me through a day in the life of Melissa.
So I work with anybody. I have an application that people have to fill out. It's called a vibe check. You'll hear me use the word vibe. I'm sure I've probably said it, like we should have a counter at the bottom of the screen. Um,
But my husband's company is called High Vibe. So vibe is always in the language.
Okay, cool. So I'm a vibes first coach. I will work with anyone who wants to improve their life. If you are, I like to say, a gritty bitch, if you are gritty, like, let's freaking go. Let's change your life. And so I work with the person who's done all like the diet stuff, who's done the fad diets, who's tried all the things, all the supplements, and is just ready to start living the way that they want to live, but also having tools, accountability, and a system for them that creates new baselines for them so they can continue to grow, because we're always all of our ages. And I remember listening to one of your podcasts. I can't remember I think it was Rich was on, and he was talking about when someone says you're acting like a child, and it's like, well, yeah, no kidding. This person's acting like a child. Yeah, no kidding. That's what we act like. So the majority of the people that I've helped, honestly, have been people in the healthcare field.
Interesting.
I have coached. No, I would say 80% of my clients have been nurses, therapists, people who give so much to other people that they have forgotten about themselves.
Oh, speaking my language, girl.
So that's the majority of the people that I am helping. Some people are on a health journey. Some people are trying to get their shit together in their own house, where they're trying to get housing, like house projects done. Just people who feel stuck and need to get out of their own way.
Yeah, totally. Definitely. What I love about, again, your videos and just your whole vibe and energy is like, I can sense and tell you're creating a community, like a really strong community, a support system for people. I'm not shocked that you work a lot with people that are in the medical, because your mentor and your friend, obviously. So again, we're attracting the like, right? But for those that want to get, like, I don't say action items, but it's interesting that you mentioned the Dexatrim days, because 100%, like, I can go back to, and I know in a previous episode too, I think in one of my solo shows, I could have filled a punch card. Like, I probably bought every weight loss drug Walgreens and Walmart sold. And in our small town, that's all we had, right? It's like, I remember combing the freaking aisles in Walmart going, what haven't I tried? What can I try? Like, nothing
Raspberry
is working.
ketones.
Oh my God.
Raspberry ketones. Give me the ketones, baby. Like, what the hell?
Oh my God. I forgot about those. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. So interesting. And then you get so down on yourself. Like, why isn't this working? Why isn't my body responding? And what I've learned, through the years, it's like, okay, well, the nervous system isn't going to release anything because your head isn't in the right space here. You're looking to pop a pill. You're looking for the quick fix. you've got to do some more inner work to actually get things moving up and out in a different way. But boy, I mean, wouldn't it be interesting how to figure out like how much time and money and energy? Like I couldn't even put a number on it. I'm saying this out loud, thinking to myself, there's no possible way I could even fathom a number. But the amount of money and time a person invests into stuff like that, when really all you need is to get back to some basics, right? Like get back to some basics. It's not
That is
hard.
what I always talk about mastering the basics.
Yeah.
That is one of my things that you'll hear me say on my social. If you're talking to me about, if you decide to talk to me about fitness, I try not to be like, hey, you want to get fit? Like, because you don't want to just be the person who's like, oh gosh, don't invite Mel to anything because all she's going to talk about is freaking fitness and working out and whatever. So,
I'm always talking about saunas and abundance life. So if that's not your jam, don't invite me to coffee.
I mean, if I can fit it in, it's fitting in.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. Oh my gosh, that's fun. So yeah, I think that I'm remembering right now a video that I saw or something I saw of you where you're just out walking. Like you're just like, you take your phone, and I'm not great at reels or videos, and that's why I'm always so inspired by others, but just getting out into nature and grounding and like, what are a couple of action items that people are listening to this and they're going, yes, yes, please guide me. Where do I go from here? What would be your top three things? Or like, I don't want to say on a discovery call, if you will, or a vibe check call. What do you find are, I don't want to say, what are people's pain points and like common struggles, so to speak? And then from that, what would you recommend people get started doing besides, finding a coach or someone from an accountability standpoint?
Yeah.
But if they want to just get this motivational wheel going, get the wellness wheel rocking, what are your thoughts there? What do you think?
Okay. I love talking about this. Is where I'm like, yeah.
Here we go.
Okay. You need to get real with how you feel. We cannot move forward if we are holding on to our backpack from high school. If we are still wearing that JanSport and you got all your shit that you're carrying around from high school, rolling in that backpack, carrying it around, thinking that you're gonna you got to get real with how you feel. Like, why do you want your body from 1999? I see it on people that we went to high school with. I see it on their Facebooks where they're like, is this going to make me skinny? Is going into the gym today going to make my arms look different? And I know that they're just being sarcastic, but those are things that you're playing out in your head all the time. And you're hearing that over and over again. Get real with how you feel. If you've got pictures of pigs and cows on your fridge, get rid of it. I know that is totally 90s, but there are people that still do that. Get real with how you feel. What does losing the weight? What does moving your body? What does that stuff actually mean to you? And what will having the weight loss, what will having this body do for you? Because it's not the body and it's not the weight. It's the feeling that you want to get that you're looking for. It's not that other stuff. So I'm all about getting real with how you feel, doing some awareness to action, learning, because a lot of times people just jump into something right away and they're like, okay, I'm going to cut this, and this out, which is fine if that's what they want to do. But restriction leads to binging. It's a vicious cycle. So my biggest thing is, okay, first off, get real with how you feel. Second, when it comes to diet, let's figure out what you're eating first. Let's figure out what you're putting in your body first. 7 days. For 7 days, write down every single thing you put in your face. Every single thing without judgment. We're just being curious. We're just getting curious about what we're putting in our body. Notice what makes you feel good. Notice what makes you feel like crap. Add more of the stuff in that makes you feel good. And you don't have to worry about eliminating the stuff that makes you feel like crap because you're going to automatically add more of this in. Because there's foods that give you energy. There's foods that take it away. Figure out what you want the balance of that to be.
I love that because it's food is fuel, right? And so if you keep giving it what it needs and wants, it's going to crave more of that. And once for me, it was ice cream. Like I was like, oh, okay, I should probably, eliminate, but the nightly ice cream, it wasn't serving me. And I knew that. And so you just start in a spot. And instead, I would just make myself more full, so to speak, with the things during the day so that I didn't feel like, oh, I can binge out on ice cream. So this is 100%. Okay, carry on.
So when it comes, when I'm glad that you actually talked about that, because that's where the awareness to action thing comes in and getting real with how you feel. When you're about to go reach for that ice cream, is it boredom? Is it because there's a habit associated with when you sit down on the couch, that's just what you do? So it's like figuring out, is your hunger cue an actual hunger cue? When did you eat last? Like it's literally just researching your own habits and
Right.
being okay with it, but letting go of the judgment, saying those horrible things to yourself about why you're eating this or how you feel, those really negative things that you can say about yourself. Get rid of that. Just be like, okay, well, this doesn't serve me, which is okay. I think that's a better way to look at it. But clearing the clutter from your environment, physical, emotional, digital, electronic, emotional, all that stuff. If you've got any kind of clutter that is filling your brain, filling your environment, figure out how to get rid of that. Because the clutter is so much more than just in your physical environment.
It's chaos. Yeah, this is really speaking to, this is where my heart lies. This is one of the main reasons why I created this show. This is one of the main talking points that I get really clear on. And I've always kind of been a minimalist. Anybody who's ever been in my home, whether it was now or 20 years ago, I mean, different homes, of course, but it's pretty much the same. Like I've always kind of been a minimalist because if things are piling up, things are piling up, right? Like literally, physically, and emotionally. So for those that, and I'm actually in the middle, like spoiler alert, I'm creating a course. Nobody get too crazy because I don't have a release date yet, but it's coming. But it's walking you through. And the checklist on the website, the wellness checklist, home checklist, talks about you have to clear out, you have to make space for other things, to invite other things in, more positive things in. And for those that are hanging on, I love your analogy of the JanSport. That's so real. And a JanSport. We all had it, right? I probably
Hell yeah.
but it's so true, right? Like if we're carrying that around, like we gotta set it down. And some stuff is really heavy, right? And people are hanging on to stuff. And what was interesting to me, and I don't want to get too far off your topic, but one of the things that I've been very real about is when my dad died, coming up on 6 years. That was an experience that I was looking through, I was looking through life on a different lens after my dad passed. And because I went into his home the day after he died with a scheduled surgery. So we were somewhat prepared that this could happen, right? So we had some things in order. But walking into my dad's home of 40 years or 30 years worth of stuff. Now he wasn't a hoarder by any stretch. So I'm not trying to paint a bad picture here, but you realize the things that you collect, right? And I remember going through my dad's house and going through drawers and underneath the staircase downstairs and up in the attic. He had, I don't even know what they're called, the things, not VHS. What came before VHS? Those damn.
I know what you're talking about. I don't even know.
It's a player. Yeah, music.
Yeah.
Like hanging on. I remember asking my brother, I was like, why do people hang on to this stuff? Like, what do we have this for? It's just kind of weighing a person down, right? And
Eight tracks? Is that what they're called? 8 tracks?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. God, that was going to kill me for the whole show. I was going to be derailed. Like, what the hell are those things called again? I can see it in my head. But yes, again, I'm not trying to criticize my dad by any means because he didn't have a ton of stuff. But it was interesting to me that now I need to get rid of all of these things that my dad kept for he was 63, but he was an adult for 43 years. For over 40 years, you carry stuff around and it's like, what is that serving you? Like, it just isn't serving you. And so from a physical standpoint of like clearing out space in your home to maybe create a place of meditation, maybe create a place for your yoga or for your working out. Maybe you just need to bring in some more plants and like bring in some more life to your home. Get rid of the stuff that's weighing you down. And again, to your point, the digital clutter, getting it out of your mind and out of your head, but in your homes. Like I really just am so passionate about everybody taking a step and looking around their home and their environment. It's like, if you're looking to amplify and grow and excel your life, like what kind of a foundation are you setting forth on? Like, what are you standing upon? Is your body going to heal in a toxic S storm? Is it going to heal or feel more harmonious if you've got dark drapes covering all the natural light? Like, what is it that you need to feel good? And so much of that starts in your home. So I love that you brought that up because it took me a lot of years to figure that out, actually. Again, like I said, standing in the Walmart lines or Walgreens and being like, what do I need? I need to go home and clean my house, so to speak, or clean out the clutter and the cobwebs of my life before I move forward in something else. So obviously that must be a common denominator because it's part of your discovery. So
it's literally the first thing that we do in the program. Week 1 in the Evergreen experience, that is clearing the clutter. We do clearing the clutter and awareness to action in the first week because I think it's so important to realize how eliminating the clutter makes you feel and how what you're putting in your body makes you feel, because it's
all
a circle.
rules. Yep, totally all rules. So 2 things. I want to make sure that we leave enough time here for people to find you because obviously they're going to want they're going to want to be in your sphere. But I always like to ask everybody. I know you have this workout space in your home, and like you've created a space and a vibe for you. What does Homes That Heal mean to you?
I think that if you can bring acceptance and appreciation into your home because you're accepting and appreciating yourself, I think that that will overflow because you will take care of what you appreciate. I did it like it was a little quiz and I wrote down all my little answers. And it says acceptance and appreciation because that just means high vibes for everybody. Because like I said, you take care of what you appreciate.
Yeah, I love that. I honestly, that's beautiful. And that can have meaning for a lot of things, actually, right? Like yourself, your heart, your soul, the things you bring in your home, your relationships, because we nurture the things we love. We take care of the things we love. If it's important to us, we take care of it. So I love that. Where can my peeps find you if they want to hang out, work out, be in your sphere, join the Mel community?
All right. You can find me on Facebook, Melissa Bayne Allison. I'm sure that'll be on here for spelling purposes. And then on Instagram, it's my period, coach period, Mel.
Oh,
that's my coach, Mel.
Oh, I love it. That's so good. And do you have any, I think I asked you this and maybe you messaged me back and I missed it, but do you have any programs, anything special that's coming up this year? Or
I'm actually running a Ridiculous Day special. And I know if people actually listen to this, Ridiculous Day still goes down. It's actually tomorrow. So we're recording this on August 13th. So Ridiculous Day is August 14th. If anyone listening to this podcast wants to get my Ridiculous Day special, they can. I will offer it to anyone specifically for this podcast. So they would have to message me and mention this podcast. I will give them my Ridiculous Day special, which is Coach with a Buddy, buy one, get one. So you buy one program, you get the other one free. So y'all can split it. So that would be $9.99 for each person.
Oh my gosh.
6 months of one-on-one coaching.
That's beautiful. Thank you for offering that to the community. So everybody hears that. You just mention Ridiculous Days or Jen Heller or something, Rhinelander, Hodags, whatever. Just mention something so she knows. So cool. So thank you so much, Mel. You, like I said, you are such a beautiful friend and bright light, and I love your vibe, and I know everybody else will, and I just appreciate you so much.
Right back at you.
Amazing. Wasn't that a fun conversation? I just love Mel. Her vibe is the best and passion to help others is infectious. If you're looking for a high vibe coach who will help you on your journey to a healthier version of yourself, please do connect and follow her socials. Thanks again for listening. Your continued support means the world to me, and I genuinely love reading all your beautiful reviews. I'm so grateful for you and your love and your feedback. You're all so amazing. Until next week, my friends, cheers to health and happiness. Thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and review on Apple and Spotify. This helps me expand my reach to other health and wellness enthusiasts. If you're interested in purchasing a Clear Light sauna, have a topic request, or just want to connect with me, please head over to my site, jenhellerlifestyle.com.